We all have a soft spot for the rebels, the misfits, and the ones who dare to challenge the rules. Maybe it's because they're doing exactly what we wish we could. Standing up, standing out, and shaking things up. From courageous heroes to lovable outlaws, these are movies that make rebellion irresistible. So let's celebrate these fearless characters right now. Stanton, and you're watching PopStar Today. On this episode, we're spotlighting the boldest, fiercest, and most unforgettable rebels to ever dominate the big screen.
That's when people start fighting back from their government.
We'll journey into a universe where defiance shapes destinies and rebellion ignites the future in Dune Part 2.
A lot of people want to be part of this adventure.
And discover how Timothée Chalamet transformed smoldering looks and fearless performances into his trademark style.
I was shocked that anybody cared to take my picture. I still am.
But first, why movie rebels always capture audiences' hearts. Let's face it, deep down, we all have a thing for movie rebels. They capture our imagination from classic Hollywood legends to today's box office hits. And it's easy to see why. Rebels never back down. They fight for what they believe in, no matter how powerful the establishment they're facing. Today, we're taking a closer look at just how diverse these cinematic rebels can be. Jeff Bridges' iconic character, the Dude, from The Big Lebowski, couldn't be more unlike John Hurt's Winston Smith in the dystopian world of 1984. Yet both characters challenge society's expectations and pay the price for their resistance. David Fincher's groundbreaking 1999 classic Fight Club taps into the soul of a generation desperately seeking meaning beyond society's demands for conformity.
You know, you're supposed to go through college and you graduate college, you meet the girl, you're gonna get married, you're gonna have kids and blah, blah, blah. And so many, certainly my friends where I came from, are in exactly that boat with ever really thinking it through, only being sold the happily ever after.
In the early 2000s, the X-Men films cleverly used mutant powers as metaphors for teenage rebellion, with heroes' abilities manifesting right around puberty. Take it one step further and you get Iceman's story in 2003's X2, a clear parallel to marginalized identities. Remember the scene where he reveals he's a mutant to his parents, only for them to ask if he could try not being a mutant? That moment perfectly captures the birth of a rebel. When a system denies you the freedom to be yourself, eventually you fight back, the true spirit of rebellion. But perspective matters in rebel stories. After all, we can find ourselves rooting for bank robbers and outlaws if their motivations feel justified. Still, there's a thin line between heroic rebellion and plain criminal behavior. Consider Jordan Belfort in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street. Does his refusal to follow the corporate rules of finance excuse his immoral actions? Definitely not. Sometimes, though, the line between good and evil is crystal clear. Take the Star Wars saga, where the hero's fight against tyrannity drives the entire franchise. It's easy to side against the Empire, but that doesn't mean the villains are one-dimensional.
Believe it or not, you're looking into the darkest part of yourself to play that character, and it never should be a sort of, a cartoon villain, a twiddly, moustache-twiddling villain. It has to feel real and threatening and menacing.
The Hunger Game franchise is another standout example of rebellion done right. The three-finger salute, the powerful gesture adopted by the resistance in the films, quickly became an iconic symbol of defiance.
When I came out of the hospital in Miami, I had been there for just something. As I walked out the door towards my car, I heard the two-tone whistle, and I looked around, and way over there was a man. And as I turned and saw him, he stood there and he went.
Other notable films packed with unforgettable rebel themes include every installment of the Matrix franchise, James Cameron's timeless 1997 romance Titanic, Steven Spielberg's profound 1993 drama Schindler's List, and the recent sci-fi epic The Creator. All vastly different films with distinct messages, yet united by rebels who each make their mark. Movies like these remind us that standing against the system doesn't automatically make someone a villain. In fact, sometimes it's necessary and downright satisfying to stick it to the man. What makes a rebel truly cool isn't just attitude. It's their mission, charisma, and ability to make us root for the underdog. These are the characters who defy impossible odds, stand against injustice, and somehow look effortlessly stylish doing it. Whether battling evil empires or dodging danger, they remind us why rebellion never goes out of style. So let's take a look at these 3 rebels who do it best. First up, it's Wade Watts, aka Parzival, from Steven Spielberg's epic Ready Player One. Set in a dystopian future, dominated by a hyper-realistic virtual world called the Oasis, the story revolves around a global treasure hunt left behind by its late creator. Whoever solves his puzzles will inherit control over this massive virtual universe. Wade is the ultimate gamer who not only cracks the puzzle, but also sparks a rebellion against the oppressive corporate giant IOI, which seeks control of the Oasis. Alongside his friends, Wade actively fights to protect the virtual world from corporate exploitation. What makes Wade Watts cool? Besides single-handedly outsmarting a ruthless corporation, he's an unapologetic nerd who encourages audiences like us to proudly embrace our inner geeks and dive deeper into our favorite video games. At number 2, it's Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. Once again, we're thrust into a dystopian future where an oppressive government rules from the luxurious capital of Panem, surrounded by impoverished districts. To maintain control, the regime forces 2 children from each district to compete in an annual televised fight to the death. When Katniss volunteers and enters the deadly Hunger Games, she cleverly defies the system, becoming not just a survivor, but a symbol of hope. Throughout the series, Katniss evolves from courageous participant to powerful rebel leader, ultimately leading the charge to overthrow President Snow's brutal dictatorship.
I think that that's the tricky part, just the first movie coming out is because that's what sparks the revolution. That's what sparks an uprising. And that's when people start fighting back from their government that's kept them down and hungry and separate and weak. And without the brutality and without the violence, nothing would really spark that. So that's the tricky thing about the first movie is it's really just the violence and then the rest of it that follows.
And finally, we've crowned Han Solo as cinema's ultimate rebel. Solo is without a doubt one of the most iconic characters ever, not just in the Star Wars galaxy. He doesn't start off as your typical hero, fighting to defeat an evil empire. Instead, he's a smuggler, driven purely by self-interest and profit. But once he crosses paths with Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, he's drawn into a rebellion that slowly but surely shifts his moral compass. Ultimately, Han Solo becomes an invaluable member of the fight against the Empire. His charm and witty one-liners are a huge reason the original Star Wars films became instant classics. Han was famously immortalized by Harrison Ford. But actor Alden Ehrenreich stepped into the iconic role for the character's origin story Solo, a Star Wars story. And yes, Ehrenreich definitely felt the enormous pressure from fans to get Han just right.
I think you're aware of it and you feel it, but your job is sort of to tune it out as much as possible in order to best serve it, in order to do the best job you can, because there's always that kind of noise, and that's always something you're contending with when you're acting.
Every rebellion begins with a spark, and in Dune Part 2, that spark ignites into an inferno. It isn't just a battle for survival, it's an epic emotional journey through destiny, defiance, and unstoppable power. The stakes are higher, the conflict's deeper, and the message clear. Those brave enough to rise can change everything.
No, I'm working with a lot of people I admire the most that are working right now, and Austin, Zendaya, and Florence Pugh, and Lea Seydoux. I mean, just heavyweights, you know.
I mean, honestly, you just wake up every day hoping that you can be as good as the person next to you. They truly are so brilliant, and getting to learn from them and watch them work, I think, is the best part.
The book raised a lot of passion. A lot of people want to be part of this adventure. So we have been blessed to work with an amazing
Talent, featuring stars like Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken, Lea Seydoux, and Austin Butler.
I was a fan of the book since the time I was 15. And then watching the Dune Part 1 just blew me away, and I absolutely loved it. So to be a part of this in any respect was a dream, and let alone as a character like this who I had so much fun with.
I mean, it takes you back to how movies should be made, putting people in the right spaces with the right costumes and the right actors. You know, there can be as many green screens in the world, but ultimately when you're in those locations and when you're on those unbelievable sets, it does lots of the acting for you. So I appreciate exactly what Denis and the crew have done, and I feel very, very, very lucky to be.
It's epic, and it's all the things that you would ever want from a blockbuster, but there's so much heart, and it does mean something.
Dune Part 2 isn't just one of the best films of this decade, greatest achievements ever.
This prophecy is how they enslave us!
You are not prepared for what is to come.
Timothée Chalamet isn't your typical Hollywood hero. He's a rebel who keeps surprising us. Whether battling galactic villains or breaking hearts in indie hits, his characters always deliver intensity and depth. Timothée doesn't just portray rebels, he embodies rebellion itself, redefining the idea of a leading man for a new generation. Here's a closer look at his skyrocketing career. Timothée Chalamet was particularly destined for Hollywood. His grandmother and mother were both dancers, his older sister is an actress, his aunt is a TV producer, and his uncle a film director. Though he appeared in a few commercials as a kid, Chalamet chose to focus on studying acting at a performing arts high school before truly diving into his career.
I really kind of like separate the experiences when I was really young to the stuff I do now, just because I took a long break in between, and those roles were just so significantly different than what I do now, because the things I was doing when I was 7 or 8, it was just standing there and looking cute and holding up brands for commercials.
He quickly started booking roles and building an impressive reputation. Then in 2017, Chalamet exploded onto the scene with his unforgettable performance in the coming-of-age drama Call Me By Your Name, alongside Armie Hammer. While he's proud of the accolade film, the rising star admitted he felt uneasy about his family seeing such an intimate role.
It'll be an interesting experience watching with them. Personally, like I just love films, and I love all things film, TV, theater, you know, so it isn't hard for me to watch Friends or watch myself work, but certainly, I don't know, we'll see. I'm curious on that reaction.
Since then, Chalamet has become widely known for delivering intense, deeply authentic performances. Whether it's in the indie comedy Lady Bird, the emotional drama Beautiful Boy, or the gritty historical epic The King.
I just feel grateful that people, young people, are excited about film still, and this is a medieval drama inspired by Shakespearean plays, so the fact that people are happy to show up for that, and you know, we didn't do this movie to make clickbait, we made it because I feel there was real dramatic merit, and so I'm just grateful that people are still excited about movies the way I am.
Later in 2019, Chalamet joined an all-star ensemble in Greta Gerwig's critically acclaimed adaptation of Little Women.
What was cool here was to see, like, whoa, like Emma Watson and Meryl Streep. These are huge stars, and it was cool. I felt like, whoa, I got to see this thing flower. That's the coolest part about being in show business at a young age, or at least getting to have a good time doing it or be fortunate enough to work, is these things are flowering in front of me, you know, and so cool. It gives me hope.
But he faced even bigger expectations when he headlined his first major sci-fi blockbuster, 2021's Dune.
I'll take this pressure over the pressures I had when I didn't have a career, when I was in college, when I just wanted to be acting. People have worse problems than that, but for me, that's what it was, so, you know, I'll take this over that.
In 2022, Timothée reunited with director Luca Guadagnino for the haunting and tragic teen romance, Bones and All.
To be young now, to be young whenever. I can only speak for my generation, but it is to be intensely judged. I can't imagine what it is to grow up with the onslaught of social media, and it was a relief to play characters that are wrestling with an internal dilemma, absent the ability to go on Reddit or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok and figure out where they fit in.
And finally, we can't mention Timothée Chalamet without bringing up his bold fashion choices. Though the humble actor wouldn't exactly call himself a style icon.
If in your words, I appreciate it. So, no, I'm really having fun with this stuff.
In a galaxy bursting with laser battles and light-speed adventures, one film brought gritty rebellion back into focus, highlighting the unsung heroes who risked everything to save the galaxy. That film is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and it's coming up next. The Star Wars universe is enormous, but one theme that connects all of its movies and series is the underdog battle of rebels rising up against a powerful authority, usually the Empire. One film that fully embraces this theme is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, set just before the iconic events of Episode 4, A New Hope. It follows a group of brave rebels on a daring mission to steal the Death Star plans, the Empire's ultimate weapon of mass destruction. Felicity Jones stars as the courageous leader, Jyn Erso.
It's most similar to Empire Strikes Back in that there's a quest at the heart of it, and it's very much rooted in a parent-child relationship and a father-daughter relationship, which is the thrust of the story. But it also has moments of lightness and fun and humor in K2, who is played by Alan Tudyk, who was constantly improvising when we're on set, is very funny in the film. So it has a bit of everything.
Although some scenes were shot on lush tropical islands, Rogue One carries a noticeably darker and grittier tone compared to the other Star Wars films.
Not necessarily darker, but it's definitely more gritty.
I don't know if darker, but definitely complex would be the word.
The look of it is different, but at the same time, we're not in doubt for a second that it's a Star Wars film.
And darker works. Rogue One earned some of the franchise's highest praise since the original trilogy. It's widely credited for capturing the essence and spirit of George Lucas's classic films. Director Gareth Edwards carefully avoided simply copying Lucas, aiming instead to evoke the emotion and intensity of the originals.
Star Wars is not one thing and then like a one genre and then you stick the Star Wars logo on it. It's like all these different things all stirred together in a way that becomes unrecognizable, and it works visually like on a subconscious level in the design and everything, and it's very hard to articulate. You just sort of have to consume it as a kid and you learn the vocabulary, and then like amazingly, like never ever in my wildest dreams expected this to happen, but then you have to try and speak it fluently back. And it's been a bit like learning an old language that you were raised with, but you've been speaking English the rest of your life, and now you've got to go back and speak Star Wars or something.
One thing great sci-fi movies always do is reflect real-world themes and issues. For films set just decades ahead, that's fairly straightforward. But a story in the Star Wars galaxy with robots, Jedi, Sith Lords, and advanced intellectual technology is a much tougher challenge.
Star Wars always makes comments on the world we're living, you know? And this is a stamp about the modern world where cultural and racial diversity is everywhere, you know? And it's a film that says, well, if we leave differences aside and we learn to work together, we'll find that nothing can stop us, you know? And I think it's a beautiful message to send these days.
Rogue One, a Star Wars story, exceeded all expectations, earning over $1 billion worldwide and receiving universal acclaim. It was so successful, in fact, that it spawned its own spin-off series, Andor, centered on Diego Luna's fan-favorite character. That's all for today. Join us next time for more news and updates on Hollywood's biggest stars. I'm Elizabeth Stanton. Thanks for watching PopStar Today. See you soon.